Shit. You know, I'm telling you guys, one of these days, I don't know, I actually don't know what to tell you. Because at this point, I don't know if there's going to be a day that I'm able to open this stream up, not have some kind of technical issue, yell at you guys about something. I don't know. I don't know. At this point, it's kind of like shooting from the hip, you know? Pew, pew, pew. Welcome back to the Funker News Network. I'm Ronnie. I'll be your host once again. It's good to see you. We got a lot to talk about tonight. You guys look real nice. I probably should have dressed up, but I didn't. If you wouldn't mind, let me know in the chat where you come from. I'd appreciate it a whole lot. I'm just a dude, you know, looking at footage in my attic, basically. I'm no longer in the basement, so I can't really say that. It was cooler when I could say I wear short shorts in my basement. But I'm technically in the attic. So, here we are. But drop a note in the chat. Let me know where you guys are chiming in from. It's so cool to see the community all around the globe. You know, every time I see somebody, whether it be 2 hours from me, I'm not telling you which one of you that was either. I'm not telling you. Whether it be 2 hours from me or Rome, all over the place. It's amazing to see a community come together at an international level like this. Portugal, Kharkiv, we got some Ukrainians in the chat. I hope I don't piss you off tonight. You guys are kind of kicking ass. We're going to talk a lot about you know, what Ukraine's reaching into Russia's pockets over the last 24 or so again. Yet somehow Russia is winning. Netherlands, Arkansas, Montana, England, Florida man. Oh no, the Florida man's here. Here we go. The way we've been starting up the stream is kind of a I don't know, what's the term in like professional circles? Would that be like a cold open? Or we just chat for a little bit? I kind of run my mouth for a few minutes. But I like that. It gives us a chance to interact. Say hi. It says veteran community in combat footage, not just combat footage. And I think that catches people off guard. You know, when we have the live stream, people get way caught off guard by that, and they're like, "Can you just get to the footage?" And I'm like, "Hey, it says veteran community first. Okay? Okay? Sit down. Take a chill pill for a second." Fairchild, welcome in Kentucky. Fort Bliss. Ugh. Sorry. I hope that's not like your home. Yeah, ick. Ugh. South Mississippi, welcome in. Florida man. Again. What do you call multiple Florida men? A shit show. That's a technical term. In the Oxford Dictionary, if I'm not mistaken. So, yes. Greetings from Germany, welcome in. Philippines, hey, how are you? Hey, buddy from Canton, Ohio. Hall of Fame. Got a Hall of Famer in the chat. Come on, keep on letting me know where you're at. Another German. Plant City, Florida. Welcome in. San Diego. I don't know if you're familiar with what San Diego stands for. I watched a documentary about a San Diego anchorman one time. Great state of Oklahoma. Sweden. Welcome in, guys. Intermission at the beginning of the movie. Kansas. The Digital Zoom's pure comedy. We're bringing over some old school features from the other stream setup. Down the road. You shut up, Mosen. I know Mosen. The UK, Germany. Wow, it's moving fast. There's a lot of folks in here. You guys look nice though. What time we got? All right, I guess we'll get started. Let's kill the music here. I'm gonna get my stupid face out of in front of me. We're gonna talk about bridges today. Let's get started. Let's talk about bridges. Right? We're gonna get to the title thing. We're gonna get to Belgorod here in just a minute. But I came across a statement from somebody inside of the Ukraine. By the way, slap the like button in the hind parts. Remember, it's an uppercut, not a straight slap. You got to lift it a little bit. I came across an interesting comment from a Zelenskyy advisor. I'm gonna butcher the name. You guys already know that before I even say it. I'm gonna absolutely butcher the name. His name is Mikhail Podolyak. Basically, he's a Ukrainian politician. He's a journalist, and he's an advisor to President Zelenskyy. He said very specifically about the Kerch Bridge, and I'm going to pull up the Kerch Bridge here for you guys right now. The Kerch Bridge, and I quote, is a detriment to wildlife and must be removed, voluntary or otherwise. This is an advisor to President Zelenskyy. Now, I've got some notes on the Kerch Bridge. A lot of you guys are tracking the Crimean Bridge or the Kerch Bridge. Technically, it's named the Crimean Bridge. They named it in an online, Russia did. It's a Russian bridge. Russia built it. They named it in like an online contest. The second name was the Kerch Bridge, and that's named after the Kerch Peninsula on the Ukrainian side here. Over here. This is the crown jewel of Russia for bridges. Now, Mikhail also said, our strategy is to destroy the logistics, the supply lines, and ammunition depots, and other objects of military infrastructure. Quote, it's creating a chaos within their own forces. I can't validate that it is actually creating a chaos. We can see based on statistical, I shouldn't even say statistical, what is it, 98% of statistics on the internet is bullshit. But based on, just qualitative type analysis of Russia's advances that they were making in the East relative to what they've been able to do lately, something's going awry. All right. This thing is 19 kilometers long. That makes it the longest bridge that Russia has ever put in place. Again, this is the crown jewel of Russian bridge architecture, right? Bridge builders, probably take it very seriously. Here's the deal. This was just built and finished between 2018 and 2019. This has not existed for a long time. Now, the claim for Ukraine that it needs to come down because it's, first of all, it's a fantastic justification for taking it down, saying that it's a threat to the wildlife. That was hilarious. Ukraine has wanted a bridge there along with Russia since the early 90s. In fact, back in the 40s, I want to say it was 45, there was a bridge somewhere up here. I want to say it was here. There was a bridge that actually got taken down by like ice shelves or something, and that's when they put in place the ferry that now will take you from one side to the other. Anyway, so it was finished in 2018. Putin was the first one, the road side. We're going to zoom in here just so you guys can see. The road side was finished. There's two sides to it. One is a rail line, one is a road side. Putin was the first to lead a convoy of vehicles across in 2018 when the road side was finished, and I want to say in 2019, December of 2019, the rail side was finished. If Ukraine ends up targeting this, and I know there's been a lot of talk about this on social media, it needs to happen, but political advisors to Zelenskyy are now starting to talk about it. That's different, right? We're going to talk next about Ukraine kind of reaching into the back pocket of Russia. I guess it would kind of be the front pockets. Back pocket would be further to the east. Yeah, front pocket, maybe. Belgorod was struck again. Ukraine is starting to reach way behind historically where we've seen them reach. So, within the last 24 hours, there's been another smoking accident. This time it was in Belgorod. It was at an ammunition depot. There's actually two in Belgorod. We're going to watch some video here coming up now. And I'm going to circle right back to the Kerch Bridge. All right, just give me a second. Let me bring it full circle. All right. Video's coming up. Here's that ammunition depot in Belgorod going up. A lot of boom. A lot of boom happening. I'm going to give you guys a map for this in just a second, for where this took place. Alright, let's take a look at the other video. There's two videos that I've got here that I wanted you guys to see on this. So we're gonna look at this video, and then we're gonna go to the map, and then we're gonna look at another strike in Belgorod. And I might be pronouncing that wrong too. I'm an expert and I'm a professional. Punch him right in the Kerch. If I put that on a t-shirt, would anybody buy it? Huh? If it went to like Ukraine charity or something, like to kids. Because that's funny. Marlboro making HIMARS rockets now? We're gonna talk about HIMARS in just a second. Okay, so let's talk about this location. All right, let me copy paste. Sticky notes being funny today. So HIMARS with GMLRS would not have reached that far. Not a chance. Let me show you guys where this took place. There you go. So, what you're looking at here is Belgorod, kind of Oblast, if you will. Now, Kharkiv here. We'll swap over and take a look at you know, a current campaign map that shows where Russia is versus where Ukraine is. HIMARS with GMLRS would have only been capable according to published capabilities out to about here. Okay, that's about 70 kilometers, 73 kilometers or so. So that's the first question mark. Once again, something outside, this is Russian territory. Okay, this is Russia is absolutely owns, you know, the majority of this area here. A GMLRS from a HIMARS has a stated capability of somewhere around 70 kilometers, around 40 miles or so. Let's go look at Institute for the Study of War. We'll take a look at a campaign map just so we can kind of marry those two things together. Grom. We're moving that direction. Oh, yeah. There's nothing saying that the Grom is finished yet, though. Nobody can confirm that. So, Ukraine has pushed back quite a bit. But here is the Kharkiv axis, if you will. All of that ground that we were just looking at. You know, the more I look at this, can we do a swap back and forth here? We can. We're about the same distance. Unless that's contested area. Oh, okay. So I see what's going on here. So Belgorod's up here. We're over here near Timonov. How do you say that? Timonovo. So like I said, I was right. I did this earlier, but now I'm rehashing it. This is all Russian-owned territory. That 70-kilometer range, absolutely outside of the HIMARS capability. Now, you're right. You know, Tochka could reach it. The Grom, or the Thunder, Grim 2, there's like 3 or 4 different names for that we've talked about kind of over almost ad nauseum the last 3 streams, right? Because we've been talking about the ATACMS as it relates to the Grom, as it relates to the Alexander, and the Alexander M, the E, all of it. But let's look at another one. Let's look at another attack. The closest distance from where that ammunition depot in Belgorod went up to Ukrainian forces is around 90 kilometers. Staryoskol airfield went up in flames. Let me show you guys that footage. This is a second attack now, right? Both of these inside of Russia. Staryoskol, Saryoskol. And let's take a look at where that is. So here's the airfield out at that place. Who knows if I'm pronouncing it correctly. There's the airfield. Let's bring it up to the top. See if we can't find Ukraine all the way out here. Kharkiv. Okay. Let's use our handy-dandy little ruler. We'll drop this bad boy right on top of that airport. And then let's start running it down. Just to get to the border, we're at 146 kilometers. 146 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. So that's not even including you know, the then a little bit further distance that Ukraine is off the border, which we can look at here. Nope. There. Yep. So up here you'll see Staryoskol. That's a far piece, man. That's far. And that makes what? How many attacks is that outside of like 100 kilometers from Ukrainian locations at this point? Over the last 5 days, a week. Is that 5? Saki, well, the 2 or 3 air bases or ammunition depots and whatnot that went up in Crimea. Then you've got these 2 in Belgorod, well outside of distance of, you know, just about everything that Ukraine has shown a perpetual use of to date, right? So yes, Tochka would be able to reach that far. Now, they're not supposed to use ATACMS to target Russian soil. Theoretically, they would have and could have used ATACMS to target Crimea because why? Crimea is Ukrainian soil. So now we're looking at the potential use of Tochka-U, of the Grom, of sabotage once again. One way or another, something has clicked and turned on for Ukraine because these attacks were few and far between over the last couple months. If these are some form of a missile system, that's a capability from a perpetual use perspective that we have not seen to date. Now, circle all the way back to the Kerch Bridge. Based on the amount of attacks that have happened outside of typical distance of what has been most prominent in the media, HIMARS, 777s, we're going to talk about 777s in a little bit, and the Excalibur. Based on what has been used the most, something has changed. Either the Grom came into production. It wasn't supposed to just yet. It was still under development. Either the Grom came into production. They got more Tochka-Us. Remember, they were struggling to get more Tochka-Us because it's a Soviet system. You know, they're only going to have a limited amount of those until they run out and can't get any more of them. something has changed. What that is, I think none of us know truly just yet, unless we are Zelenskyy, unless we are Ukraine. Russia might know. I don't know. Interested to hear everybody's thoughts. Soft team. That's where I went. That's where I was going with sabotage, right? Partisan type stuff. Yeah, Wolverines. Got Patrick Swayze, you know, swinging his thing around inside of Ukraine and inside of Crimea. Definitely not Hemsworth. I like Hemsworth, all right, but you didn't have to remake Red Dawn. You just didn't have to do it. The original was fine. It was great. It was perfect. Wolverines. Crimea overwhelmingly voted to be a part of Russia. How many of those people were Russians that moved to Crimea? I'm not disagreeing with you. That might absolutely be the case. I live in America. You know, I don't pretend to be an expert on Crimean relations. I don't. But as it stands right now, Crimea is Ukrainian soil, right? There's a process that includes other things than invading a foreign country to take that land back. Sabotage from the inside. Sharks with frickin' lasers. Yeah, maybe, man. Some crazy sharks. Now, what's also interesting is if this is an air capability, where's the... Hold on a second. I know where it is. Well, where's the air defense? I'm going to show you where the air defense is. The air defense is too good. We'd never be able to get it done. I'm going to show you something I tweeted the other day. Here you go.
Части, которые находятся на территории
Республики
Крым, перевооружены на зенитно-ракетную систему С-403, которая ее даже с 300-кой, ну, по сути, не стоит сравнивать, потому что это совершенно другие зенитно-ракетные системы. Хотя называется дальность прошлого года. Все зенитно-ракетные...
They call it, it's a very technical term. It's called the Wacky Wavy Russia Max Air Defense System. I'm not knocking them for using inflatables. I'm not. Remember, information operations, right? Inflatables are very effective. Here's what you don't do. You don't do a news broadcast in front of it. Okay? That's not what you do.
Крым перевооружены на зенитно-ракетную систему С-400 которая ее даже с 300-кой, ну, по сути, не стоит сравнивать, потому что это совершенно другие зенитно-ракетные системы, хотя и называется дальность прошлого года.
Oh, right. It's out there selling cars at a used car lot with the wacky wavy thing. What did I say? I think I said something akin to, oh, yeah. Here, I'll just give you guys full screen on this. Russia's released footage of their latest infantry reinforcements. Decoy? Tracking, it's a decoy. I get it. Inflatables. Look, here's the deal. I'm not knocking them for using inflatables. It's smart. Right? From a decoy perspective, that's what they're for. But don't do a news broadcast in front of it, dude. You just want to burn your Mildeck campaign? Come on, man. Russia's showing their absolute we're not done. We're not done with that. We'll come back to that. We got some more serious stuff to get into here, though. But you can't. You got to laugh at some of this. You really do. There's some bad shit. Oop, beep. There's some bad stuff happening to presumably some good people. Not everybody's good people, but there's bad things happening to, people that are really not much different than you and I at all. They're human beings. But some of this is comical at this point. This is supposed to be the boogeyman. Yet, we've got the wacky, wavy, inflatable air defense.
зенитно-ракетные части, которые находятся на территории Республики Крым, перевооружены на зенитно-ракетную систему С-400 «Триумф», которая ее даже с 300-кой, ну, по сути...
It's not even tied down well. You know? Like, it's... All right. Let's jump into something else. There's been an update too. So we don't talk a whole lot about what's happening inside of Russia. We've mentioned it before. We've talked about some of the protests that are happening for both sides. Both sides. There are protests at the U.S. and U.K. embassies on Russia's behalf to stop sending, Western munitions to Ukraine. But on the flip side, Russian TV personalities are kind of continuing to push back, kind of regardless of their status. If you're not familiar with, gonna butcher this, all right? At least I'm honest about it. Marina Avcienakova. Maria Avcienakova. She's a journalist that essentially back in March protested against the war by holding up a sign while millions of people were watching a live broadcast that essentially said "Stop the war." I've got a picture to show you guys of what she originally did. Right, this happened way back in March. Here you go. So this is Marina. Excuse me, not Maria. This is Marina. What she's holding behind her there says, no war at the top. So that's English at the top. And at the bottom, it says, stop the war. Don't believe the propaganda here. You're being lied to. Well, there's been an update to her situation, right? So that update is essentially, she's not standing down. Let me show you a video. If I can get my copy pasta to work here. Wacky, wavy, inflatable air defense. All right, so here she is, getting ready to stand trial. Pulls out a note from her pocket, and it says, "May the dead children haunt you in your dreams." This is inside of Russia. Watch these guards panic.
Выходим, камеры, время.
Now, that kind of stuff is happening all over the place in Russia. And people are being arrested. If I'm not mistaken, she was arrested for, quote, discrediting the Russian army. For discrediting the Russian army. Hold on. I just discredited I discredited the Russian army. It's not difficult to do.
На территории Республики Крым перевооружены на зенитно-ракетную систему С-400 «Триумф», которая ее даже с 300-кой, ну, по сути, не стоит сравнивать.
They're doing it to themselves. Like, anyway, I wanted to, for anybody that's kind of been following along with her story, I wanted to update you guys on that. Brave woman, that's an understatement. There's some bad things that are going to end up happening to her. Really bad. That was, millions of people were watching in that live broadcast when she initially did that. Right? Look at the panic on those guards' faces when they tried to cover that up. All right, let's jump into some of our other footage that we've got here. We have potentially our first video usage of the Excalibur. If you're not familiar with the Excalibur, it's a 155 millimeter shell. Extremely capable 155 millimeter shell. We do know that probably somewhere around 1,000 of these. It's GPS guided. It has a range of somewhere beyond 50 kilometers. We're going to watch a capabilities video just after this. But there's nothing outside of the precision in this video that can prove that this was Excalibur. There's another potential that it could be. There's a German, what is it, the Volcano, high precision munition. Something like 250 of those were provided. Those have an 80-kilometer range. The only thing that's indicative of this potentially being Excalibur is the precision here. Nobody really is going to be able to validate that at the moment. Here we go. So here's the gravity to this, right? So these are well-entrenched self-propelled artillery as well. I believe it was self-propelled artillery. We could take a look at Will's write-up. I didn't jot that down. I was more focused on the potential that it was Excalibur than what it was targeting. The importance, though, is they are relatively well dug in. It's a one-shot hit. That's not typically how artillery works, right? Artillery is typically fired in some form of a salvo or a barrage, and even Ukraine does the same. They typically do it by separating, rather than that single line of cannon that you'd be used to seeing. What they'll do is they'll have one or two pieces of artillery spread out, all firing from different directions at the same general spot. But from an accuracy perspective, you're not typically gonna find first shot hits like this unless it's an extremely capable and accurate precision weapon that's being fired. Now, this the M777s that were provided by the United States is towed artillery. We also provided tactical vehicles to tow it. There was a huge Russian narrative that was going around. They didn't even get the 777A2s. Yes, they did. There was a video showing the nameplate on the side of it that said 777A2s. There were, videos of them being trained, I believe, in the UK on the A2, which has been essentially fitted to accept the Excalibur round. They absolutely have A2s. They absolutely have the capability to fire the Excalibur. Supposedly, it was provided in one of the packages back in July. One of that we went over. I believe it was one of the $500 million packages. It said very specifically 1,000 rounds of 155 with enhanced precision or something akin to that. Task and Purpose actually got into like an argument at the White House press briefing, and I got to give him credit because he said essentially the same thing I did. That's Excalibur, but they wouldn't confirm that. So there are about 1,000 Excalibur rounds. This is a very high precision weapon, and what I want to do is I want to watch a capabilities demonstration of this. This has like inside of a 2-meter accuracy, and for a piece of artillery, that's amazing. Video's coming up for you guys here once I can get my mouse to work. A 1,000 more rounds were sent a few weeks ago. Okay. YouTube ads. Japan's training Legion troops to send. Nice. We published a story of... Actually, we haven't published that yet. I can't speak about that one. Check this out. I'll give you full screen. Now, it's developed by Raytheon, if I'm not mistaken. It essentially turns your 777 into a very smart, very capable artillery piece. It essentially doubles the range of a standard, 155 round, which is around 25 kilometers or so. Now, Canada was a little bit more open about the provision of Excalibur. You know, they just didn't hide that fact. I don't remember exactly how many of those were provided, but like I said, it could also be, you know, what we were just watching in that footage a moment ago could have also been the German volcano. Volcano. It's not spelled exactly like volcano, so my dumb American brain wants to pronounce it some other way, but it might just be called volcano. But that 250 were provided of those, like I mentioned, and those have a 1 meter accuracy. Are things accurate? It absolutely is. Yeah, it turns that big gun into a sniper rifle. What's really amazing about this is your typical artillery is you know, inertia guidance. You know, you basically it's ballistics. So it flies towards its target at an arc and comes down where you assume or expect it to. The Excalibur can actually adjust in flight towards its target. Not that Ronnie could hit anything with it. I'm gonna time out Josh. Come here, Josh. Come here, you. Get timed out, bro. Hey, Josh. How you doing, buddy? He was giving me shit all night. It's my safe space. You're not allowed in it right now for at least 300 seconds. All right, let's bring it back. I wonder where I parked my car. So again, if that is Excalibur being used, it is the first video that I have seen of it being used. There's nothing to validate that that's actually Excalibur outside of just, you know, one shot, one kill, if you will. Josh, it's okay. Ronnie's been moody lately. Anyway, so let's move on to the next bit of footage that I've got here. So, you know, speaking of Russia discrediting themselves, I feel like I don't even have to say anything for this one. It's kind of just, I'm just gonna show you. I don't know what to tell you. If you're wondering what that is, it's a 2S7 203 millimeter self-propelled artillery system, and it's stuck under a bridge. It's inside of Russia. Moving on. I got another cool one that I wanted to take a look at here. We're actually moving at like light speed tonight. We might be done a little bit early. I need to check in on some of the support. That's what I haven't done just yet. Paul, thank you for the 1088. That took real balls for her to do that. You're damn right it did. She had to have known. That's the thing that you have to remember, is she knew what was going to happen. She knew she was going to be detained. She knew she was going to be tried for that. I've been watching your coverage since the beginning of the war, Ronnie. Thank you for your hard work. I am a very small piece to this. If we didn't have guys like Josh and Will and Funker and Austie, Tim, these folks that are out there that are gathering this footage for me to then go through on the website and pick through it, you know, identify things that I think are pertinent to the current situation. If we didn't have that, this show wouldn't exist. I am a very small piece to this fantastic group of dudes that I'm privileged to be a part of. I just got to make sure to continue and hit that narrative. Shoot out the tires and drive. Well, that's typically what you would deflate the tires. That should get you that couple inches lower, and you'd be able to drive forward. In my mind's eye, in my head movies, I'm imagining that instead of doing that, they brought out a bunch of jacks and tried to jack up the bridge or something. Just the complete opposite of what you would theoretically need to do. But that's my head movies. My head movies do some weird stuff sometimes. Let's move on to this next one. German DM-22 directional mines. These things are pretty amazing. There were 1,600 of these provided to Ukraine. And these are actually probably, we looked at a video on Tuesday of, what I labeled as an explosively formed projectile. This is probably what we were looking at there. I need one of those Excaliburs for jerks who park in accessible parking space. Although, you're right, they'll no longer be parked there. Check this one out. I'm going to check for music. No audio on this one. Good. So we'll watch this and then I'll explain a little bit about what happened. Ron, have you ever been to Germany with the military? I flew through Germany on my way to Afghanistan. From Afghanistan. Yeah, the first time. All right, so the DM-22 mine. So there's a couple different ways that it can be activated. You can have a fiber optic cable that's run to it, that when a vehicle runs over it, it initiates it. It can be command wire detonated, so, with a clacker or even probably a battery or something. Or it's got an infrared sensor that can go off, and it's essentially an offset mine. And it absolutely nailed this vehicle. Is Josh back? Man, I just took an L. I'll remember that next time you're asking me if I'm that guy. Every time I ask you if you're that guy, you tell me you're not that guy. So it's no different. I'm in danger. Just the amount of accuracy on this is what's fascinating to me. Direct. Right in that. It looks like it hits right at the driver compartment too. Let's slow it. Let's slow it way down here. 25 speed. Quarter speed. Yeah. That hit, definitely on that driver's side. Or what would be the driver's side to me, I don't know. Would have knocked the driver at least. Yep. English in the chat. I'm too stupid to know my own language, much less understand another one. If you wouldn't mind. Be like getting hit with a cannonball. Yeah. Well, it's a high explosive anti-tank. So no, not necessarily. It's gonna be it's gonna be nasty one way or another. Bremer's Ghost, thank you for the 5. Parm or Parm 2 directional mine. Is that different than the DM-22? Because that's what we were tracking it was. I want to look that up really quick. Oh. I lost track of what I was doing. So let's look up the DM-22 versus Parm 2. Oh, it's the same. Okay. Yeah. Same thing. Same. Let's take a look at a capability video for this one. Off there. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to click the ad to skip the ad. I am going to click the ad. Go away.
In the late 90s.
Interesting piece of equipment there. All right, let's bring it up. I'll give you guys a link to this video if you want to go and watch more on the DM22. So direct link to their channel. And that is the Armorer's Branch. It's a good channel. There's their link. Show them a little bit of love for that cool video. All right. Josh, I saw that you said you're still offended. I don't know what to tell you, boss. Thanks for being you. We've got something not safe for work coming up. Technically speaking, according to YouTube standards, there's nothing I can do about YouTube standards. I do my best to only present things that YouTube would enjoy or like. I can't always do that because that's really not how the world works. But we've got a double IED attack. The Baluchi Liberation Army versus the Pakistani army. Pakistani military. That video is coming up. Oh, we're kind of steamrolling right into footage section 2 here. Mad? Yeah. That's for refusing to 1v1 me in chivalry, bro. I'll give you guys music if you really want it on this one. I don't know if you're gonna, though. Just let me know. Oh, I've got 2 videos rolling right now. Stand by. I've still got their video rolling. Don't worry, right back where we started. So it takes the front of that vehicle out. Yeah, we're going to turn the music off. Now, unfortunately, there's a dog back here, but luckily the dog kind of noped out of there pretty quick. Doggo's fine. Here he goes. Right here. Now, here's the deal. Once the Pakistanis start to essentially work through Kazivak, and shortly following the Kazivak, that's when a secondary goes off. Luckily, it appears as though the secondary that went off near this guy here didn't do too much damage. Take a look at that first blast again. No, this is not in Pakistan. This is not in Afghanistan. This is in Pakistan, and what you're looking at is a double IED attack of the BLA, or Balochi Liberation Army, against the Pakistani military. And essentially the reason the BLA and other Baluchi groups are targeting the Pakistan military is because they feel as though, from an ethnic perspective, they don't have any representation in government. Ronnie's workout playlist confirmed. That was a banger. Chris, thanks for hitting the support button. Thanks for that. Welcome. I noticed that there was an upgrade here a little bit earlier, but my alerts don't fire on that, so I need to scroll up while you guys are watching this one. Mike, thanks for upgrading to Beast, dude. Thanks for that. Just a reminder, we're about to launch the ad-free version of the Funker 530 app. So something that we're going to be asking you to do is please consider moving your support off of Google and over to us directly on the app. The reason for that is, A, Google takes about 30% of your dollars here, but we have so much more over there than just what we review on this show. So there's an impending release for that. I don't have a timetable just yet. I'm sure, wrong button. Funker Actual will let me know when that's going to be finalized, but it's going through its kind of final beta testing now. Could Crimea become independent? I don't think so. I don't know enough about Crimea's economy as an individual, from like an individuality perspective, to know. But that's an interesting question and an interesting thought. I have the app. It's great. That's awesome. Who does have the app? Or I should say, who doesn't have the app? Be honest, are things looking good for Ukraine or things are not looking good for Ukraine? I would say that there has been, and this is coming nearly as just disclaimer, just like I always do. This is coming from a very non-expert perspective. I am not a Ukraine. I am not a Russia expert. My background is in military intelligence, which is oxymoronic in and of itself, and information operations. Right, I've spent a lot of time at various levels from tactical, operational to strategic intelligence roles, but in none of those instances did any of it have to do with Ukraine or Russia. The biggest focus I've had on Ukraine and Russia has been over the last, since February 24th, if I'm being honest. But having eyes on this invasion since February 24th, I can tell you that of late, over the last month or so, there has been a noticeable shift in momentum. And that shift in momentum has gone away from Russia's favor. Early on, when Russia had made their way, let's pull up Institute for the Study of War. We'll do some map analysis here. Early on in Russia's invasion, what's going on here? Oh, okay. I spelled it wrong. Okay. ISW map. I'll finish that thought in just a second once I get the map up here. So early on in Russia's invasion, when they held, ground from the north, pressed all the way down to within, dozens of kilometers from Kiev. And then they got pushed out of that, right? That was really the last time until lately that the momentum appeared to be in Ukraine's favor simply because of the amount of ground Russia gained in the east. And this is what a lot of, pro-Russia folks lean on is the Donbass and the ground that they've made or that they've taken in Donbass, specifically, Severodonetsk, Lysychansk. Over the last month, though, that progress has been very heavily stymied by something. It's likely that it's all of these ammo dumps that are going up because of Russian smoking. They really need to just stop smoking. If that's why all these things keep catching on fire, they should really just stop doing that. But those advances are much, much slower than they had been previously. So it begs to wonder whether or not at a time there was this capitulation of ground for Ukraine for better defensible positions, or from a delaying perspective. One way or another, you can't deny that the amount of ground Russia was gaining 3 months ago versus the amount of ground that they're gaining now is very, very different. They are now losing more ground than they are gaining, specifically near Kharkiv and in the south near Kherson. So I would say, just to kind of close out the answer to that question, there is always hope that Ukraine is able to expel Russia, and they absolutely should. And they should be provided the assistance to do that. Again, there's no valid or logical reason for Russia to be in Ukraine. There's not. From an ethnic perspective, even if you want to make the ethnicity argument, that's not what you do. You don't bomb cities because you say that part of the country is ethnically yours, right? It just doesn't make sense. There's a moral compass that's off somewhere with that. Just watching the chat here. I usually just use the website, but I'll download the app too. With the website, what you won't get is if something breaks, like when Russia started the invasion, the first thing we did is push out a push notification to the app. That's the very first thing. Push notification hit the app with video of the invasion, and people jumped into this live stream and said, there's no way the invasion is happening. And we said, open up your app. Open up the Funker app. We've got footage of it. Could be a simple pulling back and consolidation on the Russians' part. For a month, they've done tactical pauses before. But those quote tactical pauses, existed for a couple of days, right? I am more apt to believe that the lack of momentum that we see in Russia taking ground, they're still taking ground, but the pace that it's at is vastly different than it was. I'm more apt to believe that Ukraine is starting to become very, very effective in disrupting Russian supply. I mean, we have the footage. You can see the footage. You can see that ammunition depots are blowing up. You can see on any website that's talking about Ukraine and Russia what's happening to these Russian air bases, well behind the forward line of troops. You can't ignore the footage. Right? You take the footage and then you take various sources from a maps perspective and you marry those all together and you say, okay, let's go back in time and let's think about how rapidly they took Severodonetsk. And Severodonetsk was very heavily defended. But you look at it now, it wouldn't be a stretch to believe that Russia is having an active hard time in maintaining supply to its units, which is going to slow down its offensive capabilities. Russia has taken to the offensive and striking well within to Crimea, well within to Russia with some capability. I don't know what they used in Russia or what they used in Crimea. We've talked about it kind of over and over again, but they have taken a more active posture in that. They didn't previously have that. It was a much more defensive posture, respond to where Russia is applying its combat power. Hi, Mars O'Clock. Funker's Mockingbird. These are my own thoughts, and if you don't want to believe these are my own thoughts, that's your prerogative, bro. I don't watch the news, man. I don't have time. I wish I had time. My day starts around 8 o'clock in the morning. I log in, do my 9 to 5, handle some of my Funker work behind the scenes. Then I start to prep this stream. Once I get off of this stream, I'll be over on the other stream over there, and that goes until 11 o'clock or so, 10:30, 11 o'clock. From there, I hang out with my wife. We watch Game of Thrones or a movie or something, and I go to bed. and I wake up and it starts over again. I don't watch the news. I don't have time for it. I too like to pivot and respond to where Ronald is applying his combat power. Josh, do you need a timeout again, dude? 8 a.m. lucky. I hear you, dude. You know, but my day doesn't stop at 5, 6 o'clock. Not everybody's work life is very different, right? I'm blessed to be able to work mostly in my home. Not everybody has that opportunity. It's come after many years of trying, of failure. Failure's best teacher. But there are a lot of folks out there that don't have that opportunity, and I'm very privileged, to have you guys here to help me get there. So thank you for that. Watch The Boys, you'll love it. I've already watched it. Yeah, I've watched all three seasons so far. It's not into Russia, it's Ukraine land. I'm not talking about Crimea, I'm talking about Belgorod. That's Russia. That's Russia. Yeah, we talked about that to open the stream up. Josh being put in the corner again. No, he only gets one pee-pee slap. I can't pee-pee slap over and over again. Check out Terminal List. Watch that too. Yep. All right, let's jump into the next one that I've got here. This is potentially not safe for work. I don't know. At this point, I'm not entirely sure what is or is not safe for work. I don't know. A guy gets shot in it, but you can't really tell that he got shot. You can kind of hear it, and you hear him. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. But let me give you the headline for this one because it's gonna blow your mind. It's a wild video. A woman on meth slips her cuffs and shoots a bystander next to police with a police patrol rifle. Yeah. A lot going on here.
She wouldn't even take any water from us or anything. Yeah. Ow! What was that? Oh! Man, Danny, I'm hit right here. I'm hit? Yeah. I'm hit right here too, Danny. Hit in the head. 2615 County, we got shots fired up here. We need backup immediately. Start EMS. Start EMS. We got a civilian. Got a civilian hit.
All right, so let's chat about this before we go on. So what you're looking at here is this is the Grady County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma. They were called about an erratic woman that was, I guess just on somebody else's property. I didn't dive too far down this one. But that woman's name is Rachel Clay. She was under the influence of methamphetamine. Now, she was unattended for about 15 minutes, presumably in the back of that other patrol vehicle that we just saw. During that 15 minutes, she slipped out of her cuffs, obtained a officer's patrol rifle, spent about 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get it to work, and that led us to this very moment here.
What the heck? Did she get out of her cuffs? No. Did it go in? Stay in. You see her, Danny? You got eyes on? Huh? Shots fired. Get over here. Get over here. Your dad's hit, man. He got hit. He got hit. Get in, Joey. Dad.
All right, we're gonna restart that here in just a minute. No, actually, we're gonna let that one ride. I can't believe the cuffs were on correctly. Yeah, I don't know what the build or stature of the woman was, but again, she was cuffed and kind of left alone for that 15 minutes, presumably again in the back of that patrol vehicle. I'm not sure what the inside of that of the Grady County Sheriff's Office patrol vehicles look like. I'm not a cop, just a dude. But somehow she, in the process of getting out of those cuffs during that 15 minutes, found her way to an officer's patrol rifle. Now, they ended up being under somewhat of a siege standoff for a few hours after that, which at the end of it, she surrendered and was booked. Google her, Ronnie. She has a killer mugshot? Hell yeah, okay. Enhance. No. Hold on. Let me get the image alone here. Oh yeah, that's her. Here you go. That's Rachel Clay. Surely the service rifle would be locked up. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. You know, I know there's typically racks. I actually meant to reach out to Tim. One of our team members is an active law enforcement officer. I didn't end up with time to do that today. What sort of cage was it she could reach through a chicken coop? I don't know. So, and I mean, that's kind of my question here, right? Is even if she had slipped the cuffs in the back seat, is there not a barrier in all or the majority of police cars between the back seat and the front seat? And is that barrier locked or static in a way that you can't kind of get through it? I want to read something here. So everybody that was injured, so one of the officers did receive a grazing wound to his head, and the father was shot. My understanding is that everybody survived, by the way. Korovas, thank you for the 20. Dude, love the stash. I love you. Miss the great dance song Bayraktar. I miss it too, man. I still play it on the other stream where we have less copyright challenges to worry about every so often. But I'm happy for the dude that made it, that hopefully he's able to, now get a little bit of revenue off that, because there were a lot of people playing that song for a long time. Not if it was a civilian car like a truck. No. My understanding is she was in another patrol vehicle here. We're able to see that patrol vehicle here. Yeah, so it's my understanding she was placed in this patrol vehicle, cuffed. So this is shortly after the round.
Ow! What was that? Oh, man, Danny, I'm hit right here. I'm hit? Yeah. I'm hit right here too, Danny. Hit in the head. 2615 County, we got shots fired up here. We need backup immediately. Start EM.
Yeah, so if I understand the situation correctly, she was in this other vehicle. Got herself out of cuffs. Come on, give me the vehicle here. You can see the blacked out rims around the vehicle. That looks like a patrol vehicle to me. It's a similar, yeah, you can see the lights on top, the logo on the side there. Dude's still holding his damn paperwork and that guy got shot. There's pics of her aiming. Oh, are there? Officer Fudd. Oh, okay, guys. So that's going to be it for us. Anyway, I wanted to take a second to make sure I'm pointing you guys to some features on the app or on the website. We have a dark mode if you're, kind of continuously getting blinded on funker530.com. There is a toggleable dark mode. Like I said, we're very soon to release the ad-free version of the site. We love our advertising partners. I've got ATN stuff right here behind me. I use it all the time. I took my ATN binos out to the sawmill, where I spent the last weekend doing some training with them out there. It was a whole lot of fun. But we also recognize that not everybody wants to wait through an ad, and that's okay. So that's also going to be a better way for you guys to support us and our small team, rather than here at YouTube. Once we release that ad-free version, give that a consideration. Move your support from here over on YouTube over to the ad-free version on the app and website. There's also going to be a ton of perks that come with that, including discounts, special badges, awards, and things like that. That's it for me tonight. We did launch a Funker News Network video, and if you haven't seen that specific clip, we do a breakdown for our edited content on individual clips of content, whether it be from Ukraine or law enforcement footage, Pakistan, wherever conflict is. We try to break down that footage for you, provide a little bit of context from a top-level perspective. We did release another one of those today. In the future, we're hoping to get back to 2 uploads every week. That's the goal. So the 2 live shows every week and 2 additional uploads every week as well. So go check that video out for us. YouTube continues to step on our no spot. We kind of enjoy it. Something you kind of grow into over time. I'm out of here. Be good. I hope you guys join me over on the other stream tonight. I'm going to kick back, play some games, have a good time, and we hope to see you there. Stay informed.
Whoa!